Well, while the agreement reached in Congress on Friday night will fund the federal government through the end of this fiscal year, last week freshman Republican Congressman and Budget Committee member Todd Young joined his committee chair Paul Ryan to introduce their plan for next year's budget.
We in this budget build upon the successes of welfare reform in the 1990s. We recognize that the best welfare program is ultimately a job. These are bold programs, bold reforms, but they're reasonable reforms, the sort of things that many of us campaigned on before we came here in Washington.
Well, joining me now is Indiana Representative Todd Young. Congressman, welcome. It is a delight to have you here. And I know that you didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, so I especially appreciate your being with me.
That's right. I got plenty of coffee in the tank. Great to be with you, Governor.
Well, thank you. Congressman, I want you to talk about the budget deal that was reached. I know you guys were under an extraordinary amount of pressure. What was it that finally brought this thing to bed?
You know, I think we all got the sense that we pushed as hard as we could to claw back every dollar for the American people that we possibly could. I think our Speaker did an incredible job playing his cards close to his vest, leveraging the sentiment of the American people, which is that it is time to cut spending. It's time to create an environment for private sector job creation. And ultimately, we cut a deal, the best deal we could. And we're moving on to bigger things, as you said in your monologue.
Well, one of the things that I want to just talk to you about, some of the colleagues that you have in the House weren't all that excited about it. We're disappointed that it wasn't more. Frankly, I think all of us would love to have seen many, many more billions cut. But the harsh reality is you guys were working with a Senate who didn't even have to bring up the bill and a White House who was going to veto it. Was there a time when you felt that maybe some of your colleagues were willing just to shut the government down and let the consequences ride, whatever they might be?
Well, you know, I think our entire conference played a pretty constructive role. It's helpful, candidly, to be prepared, should you not reach the appropriate strike price, to walk away from the table. Otherwise, the Speaker has no leverage. So we all served a useful purpose in these negotiations. Personally, if we didn't approach a figure near what we ultimately hit, $39 billion, I was prepared to vote against this proposal. But I felt like we came together reasonably, like adults, kept the government open, and set the stage here for the much bigger battle, which is the battle over the 2012 budget. We're going to start talking about trillion-dollar cuts as opposed to billion-dollar cuts, and really creating an environment for private sector job creation many decades into the future.
Well, I want to talk about that budget fight that's coming up, because that is the big one. And there's going to be some very important things, and that's one of the reasons I was proud of you guys for going ahead and getting this one cleared off the table, because it's almost like you've cleared the tiny appetizer, and now it's time for the main course. And boy, is it going to be a big one, and it's going to take every knife and fork on the table to gobble this one up. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Because if Congress is going to fight tooth and nail over $38.5 billion, what in the world is going to happen when they take up Paul Ryan's budget that wants to cut $6 trillion? That's right, $6 trillion in spending. We continue our discussion with Congressman Todd Young right after this.
We are calling this budget the path to prosperity, because it is more than just a budget. It is a commitment to honor the American legacy of leaving the next generation a more prosperous nation than the one we inherited.
Well, we are back with Congressman Todd Young, who is a member of the Budget Committee that helped Paul Ryan draft his budget plan. Congressman, the reaction from people like me was, wow, this is bold and it's innovative and it has a lot of moving parts that really could change the economy and, most importantly, get us out of debt and the deficit. But the reaction of some of your Democratic colleagues was not quite so favorable. I'm going to show you one from a congresswoman who does not feel that maybe this is going to be good for seniors. Let's take a look.
This plan would literally be a death trap for some seniors.
We hear much about how it's all about the deficit and getting this deficit under control. But really, truly, what is it about? It's about ending Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid as we know it.
So, Congressman, is this about killing elderly people and ending Medicare and Medicaid, as they allege?
Nothing of the sort. Anyone who cares about all those programs, as the American people do, and as I certainly do, would want to sustain them, want to preserve them. Right now, we know they're unsustainable. In fact, they're essentially bankrupt. So some changes need to be made to the programs. We have made some very commonsensical changes that, frankly, won't even impact people aged 55 and older. We exempt them from any changes whatsoever, and then we phase in some gradual changes over decades to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Social Security we were less specific on, but we do force the hand of the Senate, the House, and the President on that issue. And, you know, ultimately this is about preserving the programs and providing targeted, better services to recipients of them.
I want to go to a second piece of tape that we have. These are some criticisms that have been given also to the plan about this is really a big, big break for the rich people. Let's watch.
It's going to provide added tax breaks for the wealthiest, beyond even the skewed system right now in favor of the very wealthy.
So, Congressman, this is really not about so much tax breaks for rich people as it is that you end loopholes that are letting really very crafty corporations get around the tax code.
I would invite anyone to take a look at the plan. It's available on the internet. It calls for nothing of the sort. In fact, what we try and do is eliminate tax earmarks, some of these special deductions, credits, exemptions that we find in our tax code that are really targeted at special interests. If you eliminate those and bring down the overall tax rates, just about any respectable economist out there is going to tell you you increase the size of the pie. Our economy is going to grow, and therefore we're going to have more resources targeted towards important programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and we can lighten the burden of taxation on our businesses and our families. In fact, we aim to bring down tax rates from 35%, the top individual, to 25%. We do the same thing with the corporate tax rate. That will allow America to once again become competitive for jobs.
Well, Congressman, I want to thank you very much, and please extend to Congressman Ryan my heartfelt and sincere thanks for the bold leadership that he's providing on the Budget Committee, and thanks to you and others who are willing to stick your necks out for something that doesn't just say, let's do the status quo, because the status quo is killing us. God bless you, Congressman, and thanks for joining me today and sharing the process with us.
Keep up the fight, Governor.
Thank you very much. Congressman Todd Young from Indiana.